Alright, so this is going to be my last video for the day. It's been fun. This is probably the most videos I've done in a really long time in one shot. So I'm going to try to make this quick. I want to talk about why I feel that Keith Thurman should pretty much just hang it up at this point. And this is coming from an honest Keith Thurman fan. People know my record on my channel. They know what I think, and you guys know how highly touted I had Keith Thurman, and why I fully supported him. I took a lot of heat from a lot of fellas in the LDBC, rightfully so, because they tried to warn me, they tried to tell me, and I didn't listen. And I have to hold the L, man, like a man. That Keith Thurman, I understand that he's injured again, but the amount of disrespect he's received from his colleagues, his fellow fighters, I think it's pretty apparent at this point that he doesn't have that same dynamic presence anymore. And I think that, to be this, he's had we're going on second year, right? He's going to be going on, based on his hand injury, he's going to be out of the ring and inactive for far too long for my liking. And the fact that he blows up in weight, and then there's just too many mitigating factors as to why I feel that Keith Thurman at this point is pretty much, it's a wrap. It's a Reynolds wrap, as I like to say. And I have to just admit it. And he comes back, he can prove me wrong. He can prove a lot of people wrong. He can come back, be revigored, and ready to prove himself. But, I just feel right now, Keith Thurman, unfortunately, how did we get from him being in the leader of the pack at 147 to now he's no longer the leader of the pack. He's in the back, but in fact, he's an anchor, from us getting a clearer picture of the 147-pound division. And, it's sad, but, hey, this is the way the shoe drops sometimes. Sometimes you get guys who start out in boxing and they seem like they're going to come on strong, Fighters I could remember that were like that were like Fernando Vargas. Hops on the scene, coming on strong, ends up being not as great as people thought he was. There's been loads of fighters that's been like that. What's the most recognizable one is Chad Dawson. Chad Dawson was considered arguably one of the most athletic, dynamic fighters next to Mayweather, right? And he took a loss, and that was it. I mean, this is the way this game is. This is why it's the hurt business. And unfortunately, I think that injuries, the fact that Keith Thurman doesn't take care of his body properly in the off seasons, and just basically his whole persona change has really hindered his career moving forward. So, that's my message to Keith Thurman. And that's my confession about Keith Thurman as a Keith Thurman fan. I'm always ride for him as a person because I like who he is personally. Like I said, I related and gravitated to Keith Thurman because we both kind of have that Zen-like outlook on life. So it was one of those things where I threw my hat and I said, hey man, I'm gonna ride for this dude, and I'm always gonna ride for him in life, but I have to be loyal to the sport of boxing, not just one person, just to one fighter. And he right now is keeping guys like Spence, Crawford. He's keeping the 147 division in a stagnant place, and I just feel he should just move aside.